Resume. Okay, so we talked about either we don't know what we don't know, or we think we know what's right for us, but maybe that's the thing that's keeping us stuck, or we just need some help. We know what to do. We just need some support and some motivation, some inspiration to make us make the healthy choices. There's a great book that's out new by Pilar Gerasimo called The Healthy Deviant, where she gives statistics. And I think I put that in my emails. Only 1% of the population today are on track to making and to being healthy and happy and maintaining their goals. 1%. So to really create healthy habits, we have to be a little deviant. We have to be a little weird. We're doing things outside of the norm. So how do we do this? We need a community often to help us do that. So anyone who feels comfortable, I'd love to hear, just if you want to introduce yourself and tell me what's your motivation for being here. You can unmute yourself.
I'll give it a stab. This is Laura Greenberg. There's a picture, my name is up there, but it's a picture of my husband, Michael Levitt. And I am just, and I'm sure it's both pandemic related and related to all the chaos that has been going on recently. But we have both, in the last couple of weeks, we were trending that direction anyway, but we both turned into total motivational slugs. So I'm looking to this to get me on track. And I think part of the problem is a lack of schedule.
Yeah, that's very intuitive. A lot of times we have to put ourselves on the schedule. So thank you for prioritizing yourself to be here right now for this call. That is a great, perfect first step. And thanks for sharing, Laura. Someone on the chat has says, I'm motivated to participate to help me decrease bloating and get more energy. Fantastic.
That's me. It's Marge. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Marge. So happy to have you here.
Hi, Laura. I'm very excited to do the Kickstart. I need some motivation.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And it's a really good way to reset. If we have any gas, bloating, gut issues, we're going to talk a lot about that too.
Okay, great.
Hi, this is Judy. I'm just doing this for motivation. I always learn something, even though I know a lot about nutrition, but I fell and broke my hand during the pandemic, and it was a pretty bad break, so I couldn't move for like 8 weeks. And so I'm just trying to encourage myself to get back in to exercise, to take care of myself, because it's, you know, you try to do things and you go, I can't do that anymore. So I'm looking for motivation.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Yeah.
I raised my hand.
Hi, Denise.
Hi, Lisa.
This is my twin sister. Very honored to have you here.
I'm very honored to be here and honored to have you for my sister. And Debbie's on here too, I think. So you've got both of us here. I echo the motivation part of it. I just want to get healthier, have more energy, sleep better at night. And I need the accountability, you know, I need the, you know, keep me on the straight and narrow here. So anyway, thank you for putting this all together.
Thank you.
Great way to kickstart the year.
So 10 years ago, when I was getting my business starting and I was thinking, who do I want to serve? What do I want to do this? Family, friends, you know, number one. And I want to help heal healthcare, number two. So thank you. I've got some healthy colleagues who are participating too, and like Marge, and it means so much for me to have you guys here. Thank you. Love you.
This is Mike Levitt speaking. I've been struggling with sleep hygiene for probably 15 years at least. And I need the equivalent of Alcoholics Anonymous. When I'm up at 2 a.m. in the morning watching some garbage MGM musical, and I need somebody to say, Michael, go to bed, go to bed, go to bed. But there's nobody to call at 2 a.m. except my wife, and that would lead to divorce.
No, I occasionally come down and tell you to turn it off.
But I need the motivation and tricks of the trade and a better understanding of why, after all these decades, I can't do a better job of getting it to a place where my sleep hygiene is healthy.
Yeah, you know, we all have addictions. You mentioned, you know, whether it's alcohol or sugar or our social media or our TV. We all have addictions, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that and how to support one another to turn that around. And sometimes, as Denise said, just having an accountability buddy. You know, we may not do things for ourselves, but we may do it for another. So we do have a Facebook page, and maybe Michael, this is a way to keeping you accountable, that maybe if you can post what your sleep hygiene is, what are you doing to prepare yourself to bed, you know, every night, and what time are you actually getting into bed, you know, and maybe so we can help keep you accountable on that. Would that be helpful?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Okay, good. So Gina said, thank you.
Hi, I'm Gina. I'm on my phone and I'm trying to figure out how, I don't do Zoom, apparently. I'm not often enough to know what I'm doing. But anyway, hi, I'm Gina. I'm friends with Lisa, Denise's business partner also. I'm really excited, and thank you so much for having me here. Really looking forward to all the words of wisdom. But what Denise said about accountability was really, truly it for me. And actually, not necessarily for the, you know, diet or whatever, but I think my biggest thing is, because I think for on a whole, I eat well. I could definitely improve without question. But accountability for the self-care that you promote, Lisa, and just everything that I've been reading so far, I'm a little behind on getting everything started and going. But one of the things that you have in here is that, you know, the journaling. And I just have to share this with you guys because I, you know, unearthed my journal. And it's dated February 1st, 2020. So almost a year ago, exactly, my list of my goals for this coming year. And amazing to me that I basically feel exactly the same, want the exact same things, and that was page 1, and I never went back, never journaled, never so I'm looking really truly for the accountability to take the time and take much better care of myself. I do it for so many other people. And I think it would make me happier, as well as make me a better person for other people in general. But just, yeah, and the recipes that I was looking at yesterday, I mean, they look fantastic too. And I've had many, many, many of them anyway, between Lisa cooking it or Denise cooking it or me cooking it. So I'm excited about the refocus. So thank you.
Thank you for saying that. And just, you know, journaling is a habit, you know, sleep hygiene is a habit. These are all habits that it's like a boulder trying to push it up the hill until all of a sudden then you get to the top and it rolls down and it's automatic. And so that's really the purpose here. Is everybody's goals are going to be different. You know, some people may have the nutrition down. Gina is a fantastic chef and cook, you know. So I'd love for you to post on Facebook. What are you creating? You know, these are my true old
That's
recipes.
a good idea, right?
I really
want to,
yeah. These are just suggestions. So you guys, everybody pull in what works for you would be great. And some people may not want to cook at all. And I've got lists of home delivery services,
Mhm.
if you want, or a supplemental shake, in the morning just to get you going, whatever is, because we're all different, whatever is good for you. Is anybody else? Patty, thank you so much for saying that.
So, hi, wait, can you see me? Am I on?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Hi, I'm Patty. I've been working with Lisa for just on myself for it's like 7 or 8 months now. I just took the plunge one day and said I need to do this, and it's really been great. The nutrition part comes easy to me, and I'm very open to do everything. Right now, I've gotten very stuck being home with the pandemic. I'm an empty nester, I'm divorced, and so the kids came home a little bit due to the pandemic, but now the house is empty again, and I don't have a career. I took care of my parents with different ailments for 10 years, and now they have passed last year. So my purpose has been kind of wiped out as far as the caregiving, taking care of my kids and my parents and husband, etc. So I have a clean slate to start from, and this is my opportunity to make my life whatever I want it to be. And Lisa's going to help me. I'm just feeling really stuck with being at home right now with a lot of the opportunities on hold. So I really would love the support of talking to people. Like I've gone into my little hole. I'm not talking to people anymore. I'm not getting dressed. If I don't get dressed in the morning, then that's a problem. So I'm baby steps, forcing myself to go back on my walks and just climbing back up there.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. We can't underestimate the effect of isolation. Social isolation is not healthy. We are social beings, and we are meant to be in community, and transformation doesn't happen by itself. It happens in community. And one of my mentors' quotes that I love to say is, go fast alone, go far together. Takes a village. And it's too easy to get stuck in our own isolation bubble home and think that we're crazy. We're the crazy ones, or that we're lonely, And one of the things we're going to talk about keeping our goals is halt. Don't get too hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Because then our whatever goals we set, or our willpower, if we have to change something that's not good for us, just goes right out the window. Some of us are extroverts, some of us are introverts. It doesn't matter. We still need interaction. We still need people in our lives. Some of us need it more than ever, which is why I need to do this. My husband says, why are you doing all this effort to put a online group program together? Because I have a very full, busy practice. But it's important. I think we all need each other, no matter where we are on our healing journey. We all need each other. So again, thank you for joining us. Dana, did you want to say anything? Or Rachel or Debbie, or should we move on to the my slides? And Margot says, oh, many of us are hermitizing because of fear.
Mm-hmm.
So true. And fear is damaging to our immune system. It's disempowering. I'm going to address that, and with those who have struggled with cancer, fear is the cancer. And I've done whole couple hours sessions on that, and how important it is for us to address whatever fear we have for whatever reason. And MGM musicals are not garbage, Michael. know if anybody's looking at the chat. The chat is not usually recorded, so. Whoops. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share with you some slides that we can keep. Feel free to stop me, ask me any questions if you'd like. And I'm going to go through these quite quickly because I have a lot I want to share and I want to respect everybody's time. And some of the clients who've been working with me, it may just be refreshers. This may be new information or not. Most of you know, everyone here knows who I am. I've been studying functional diagnostic and functional medicine almost for the last 10 years and went from the nursing into the business world and now back into this business. Most of you know one thing that really propelled me as I was studying integrative nutrition as I took my daughter to an integrative cancer program. And not only did she initially get a clean PET scan, but I also my autoimmune disease started to go in remission. My eyesight improved so much that it's still 10 years later, I don't need bifocals. I wear glasses to read and to drive. And I lost the last 15 pounds I thought I would never lose in it. And I don't think I would have the vitality I have today if it weren't for that experience. And sometimes the worst things that happen to us in life are the things that end up being the best because we learn. We can't have success without failure. So in the Western culture, we beat ourselves up always for our failures, but those are our gifts. They're our gifts of imperfection. And we've kind of talked about why everybody's motivation is a little different here. Motivation, but these are some of the benefits of kickstarting your life. And this is not a detox program, although you may increase detox, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but it is not a detox program because not everybody's ready to detox. We have to have these foundational things first. But we may reduce some toxic overload. We can turn this into an elimination diet for you if you'd like, and eliminate your most common food sensitivities. Hopefully help you achieve clarity. Your journaling. If you journal every night, if you just write down what you eat every day for the next 3 days, your attention to food, your diet is going to improve. And what we focus on is what we get. So if we're focused on our dis-ease, we're going to get more disease. If we focus on the pandemic and the fear, we're going to be stuck in the fear mode. If we focus on where we want to go and what our goals are, we're going to get more of that. And next year, hopefully, when we go in our journals, we'll see that we made progress. And it's so important to celebrate successes and to celebrate them together. Who has not written goals? And I can look at my journal from 10 and 20 years ago and find goals that I never did, that I wrote it down. I was really gung-ho for, and then poof, life gets busy. So prioritizing ourselves is number one. The other thing is to have an open mind and rethink everything. This is just from my previous company my husband and I owned. We built a railroad bridge out of recycled plastics, and we competed against concrete and steel. And it's a small railroad bridge and a small railroad, but you had to have out of the box thinking and know the possibility. So I don't care where you are in your healing journey, know that you have the innate ability to heal from within. And if we can just get out of our own ways, and those are the skills we're going to start working on. And we can't do it by doing the same old thing. We have to think differently and do things differently. And why do we need to do it? I threw in 2 slides because over $3.3 trillion is spent on healthcare, and we are one of the lowest, poorest countries in the nation. So why are we having a hard time in COVID right now? Because we need to do something different. We need to think differently. And of course, our employees subsidize 76% of this financial burden. And this is huge for businesses right now. We've got to do something different. And here's what we spend compared to other countries around the world. And these are the top OEC companies, the countries that are very similar to the US as far as financially, the top financial companies in the world. We have a lot more on healthcare, and we have the lowest life expectancy and the highest suicide rates. And we personally know in this group, I know 2 people who have been affected by suicide in the last month. So this is serious. We have to change. And compared to peer nations, we have the highest number of hospitalizations from preventable causes and avoidable deaths. So our current healthcare is very siloed. My last presentation I'm going to give to you is my own story in healthcare and how I would be seeing probably, if I stayed in conventional medicine, I have 6 or 7 of my own doctors. You know, from a cardiologist to an endocrinologist to a psychiatrist to, you know, if I look at all my signs and symptoms of what I've struggled with and helped to overcome, and nobody looking at the elephant, nobody looking at the big picture. I do want to do one slide that I did from my Creator Resilient Immune System program, which is about the viruses and the pandemic. I put this on about 6 months ago. Viruses mutate and they are ubiquitous. They are all around us, like the air we breathe. So to be fearful of a virus is disempowering. They become less virulent over time. It's not in their best interest to kill the host. So as the pandemic goes and changes, and we know this, that the virus itself, this COVID-19, has changed and mutated. And it's not the virus that's the problem. It's the soil. It's the immune system. Healthy immune systems can fight that virus. So some people we know, many, all of us probably now know someone who's had COVID-19, and some have had worse effects of it or not because of your immune system. So all of us, we're going to work on how do we protect ourselves? How do we have a healthy immune system? Really, I say 80% or more of your immune system is in the GI tract. So we're going to focus on that, food as medicine. And the gut has its own nervous system, and it communicates directly, the gut and the brain. We have as many nerves in the spinal cord, in the gut as we have in the spinal cord. And so our thoughts matter. So eat, think, and thrive. What we eat, what we think, and what we do is going to make a huge difference. And food does matter. Junk food is an oxymoron. It's either junk or it's food. It's not both. It doesn't feed us. And so the external stress, as well as hidden internal stressors like food sensitivities, gut issues, overgrowth of candida or parasites or H. pylori, all these things that we'll talk about later on, or environmental stressors, mold, mercury, lead, or the 80,000 plus chemicals allowed in our food and our beauty supply and our air and water, they all affect our immune system. And so this is what functional medicine is. It's getting to hidden stressors. They can be addressed and resolved. And the focus of this next 21 days is to experiment with yourself how all health begins in the gut. So I want to empower you to be the top 1% that are going to thrive and be happy and healthy, and to be role models. The root cause of disease is always unique. This is very different from a conventional model. 10 people can have diabetes, and the root cause can be different for all 10. And the same with heart disease, cancers, etc. So getting to the root cause is important for what your unique body needs. And why functional medicine? I teach right now, I've got 60 people in my groups that are nurses and doctors and nurse practitioners who realize the limitations of conventional medicine and are learning the art of functional medicine, where we want to live in a world where 1 out of 2 don't get cancer, and 1 out of 3 don't die of cancer. I want to change that trajectory. So maximize, minimize, and prioritize. How do we maximize what your unique body needs? And we'll focus on that, and then minimize the toxicities. We'll give a lot of information on that, and then prioritizing your own self-care. And this is something only you can do. Only you can say, I'm going to prioritize sleep and rest and laughter and stress reduction. And I want you to put on your schedules or calendars, if you're working or not, it doesn't matter. What hour a day are you going to work on your self-care, and what does self-care mean to you? And I'm going to give you a lot of tools. But as Gina said, thank you so much for sharing. When you are strong and healthy and resilient, then you're the better mother, you're the better co-worker, you're the better employee. It's not selfish to prioritize yourself. It is the most selfless thing you can do in the world. And the world so needs all of us to be healthy so that we can create healthy families and communities. And we have to be the leaders because it's not fed to us. One man's medicine is another man's poison. This is I think, what, 100 years ago, Margot, how long ago did Weston Price travel the world as a dentist to say, why is it that the Western world has so many dental issues that we have to pull 4 to 8 teeth and get braces? What is it that's missing in the diet? And what is the best diet for everyone? And he found that the native populations who ate what was local and indigenous to them and nursed their babies and got the healthy fats and the proteins had these beautiful white smiles. Not only did they not have dental caries or a need for braces, but they didn't have cancer and heart disease and jaw malformation. So, and you know, an Eskimo diet is blubber. It's whale blubber, right? All fat. South Americans may be more vegetarian. Native African tribes may be a combination of the two. So we're all unique and different. And this is just a funny little thing that I thought.
The Times article pointed out that the grave is littered with health food pioneers who didn't even live to the average lifespan. Yul Gibbons swore he'd live forever thanks to a diet of wild plants, and now he is a diet for wild plants, dead at 64. Adele Davis was so ahead of her time in saying we should avoid starchy foods like white bread. Ironically, is toast, dead at 70. Nathan Pritikin of the Pritikin diet, dead at 69. Clive McKay thought the path to living past 100 was severe caloric restriction, dead at 69. Last words, I'm fucking starving. Michelle Montagnac sold 17 million copies of Eat Yourself Slim and died at 66, just before finishing his next book, Drink Yourself Erect. Jim Fixx wrote the complete book of running, which his heart stopped doing at 52, dead while running. Meanwhile, David Crosby is fine.
So we can eat all the broccoli in the world we want. If we're not happy, we're not happy. You know, we have to look at the holistic. And anytime we get stuck in the dogma, every diet has its limitations. You know, my son's lost a lot of weight on the keto diet and he looks and feels good, better, but he's hit a plateau. And I can tell you he's missing chromium and minerals. And so if you're going to be on the diet, you're going to have to take some supplements. You know, vegetarian can be really great for some people, and some people need a little extra zinc or B12. So there's, so this is an experiment, this next 21 days. What's the right diet for you and your unique body? And really what makes you feel good? It's not about dieting and deprivation. It's about nourishment and love and using food as medicine and loving. And yes, there's lots of stories of people who've healed their own pancreatic cancer. The autonomic nervous system, we're going to talk about a little bit, about whether we're in fight or flight or rest and repair. It has a lot to do with the ability to digest and keep our food. So there's a lot of dogma around diets. And one thing I know for sure is that you are your own best doctor, and the doctor of the future is going to be the patient, and to collaborate to see what is right for you. That most of us know what we need and want. We just need a little help and support in getting there. What's common for all of these diets, the different ones, is that we're going to eat real food. Organic, grass-fed if possible. Mother Nature knows best. We're going to avoid the empty calories, the artificial chemicals, and the preservatives. And diversity is the key. We all get stuck in our ruts. We all want to eat the same thing every day because it's easy, it's fast, it's nourishing. I'm bored and tired of my 100 recipes that I'm sharing with you, but these may all be new to you. So you have new stuff, share it with me because I need it too. Some common myths. Cholesterol is bad. Cholesterol is essential. if you don't get it from food, your liver makes it. It's so essential. And cholesterol is the precursor to all your stress hormones and your sex hormones. We'll be talking more about that in, I think, our third week. So cholesterol is the fireman that goes to put out the fire when you have a high sugar and alcohol diet and you've got shards of glass going through the arteries. Cholesterol is the Band-Aid. So cholesterol is not bad, it's essential. And these low-fat diets, what's happened since we went on low-fat diets? We added more sugar to make them palatable. And diabetes and heart disease and everything else has skyrocketed. It hasn't helped. Fat does not make you fat. Sugar makes you fat. Fat is satiating, if it's healthy fat, not trans fats, but healthy fats found in unadulterated natural foods. We don't have to eat dairy to get calcium. Yes, dairy is high in calcium, but we're going to talk about why we may want to eliminate it for 21 days and see if it's the best food for you. And I've had too many clients who I've helped who the doctors have, with good intention, told people to take calcium. You need calcium with your vitamin D to make strong bones. And then if you have too much calcium, where does it go? Calcification, arteries, kidneys. You've got high cardiac cath stores. So we don't need just an isolated supplement. Calcium, you need magnesium and K2 to get it into the cells and locked in the bones. And supplementing with just calcium and vitamin D is dangerous. And sugar is not harmless. So this is what I'm going to recommend for your kickstart. And you can choose and decide what's right for you. But optimal health, I'm going to recommend for the next 21 days that you consider gluten, sugar, dairy, alcohol, and caffeine. These are the top inflammatory foods. We all know they create oxidative stress, which leads to DNA damage, DNA, our genes, and it accelerates aging, and it can lead to cancers. So I highly recommend, if you can, organic, non-GMO food and avoiding processed foods, which is why I've given you a lot of recipes and choices. We're all addicted to sugar. The food industry knows this, and they make everything hyper palatable and addictive. And studies have shown, like heroin and cocaine and caffeine, sugar, even a small amount is addictive for two reasons. Even a small amount creates a desire for more, and quitting will create withdrawal symptoms like headaches, mood swings, cravings, and fatigue. So we can wean ourselves off. We can have natural sugars. We can have fruits and vegetables and change the palate of our taste. But sugar is actually been shown in the study with rats to be more addictive than cocaine. And it's ubiquitous. And Friday, I'm going to give you a little hint. If you want to watch a movie on sugar, that's great for the whole family. That Sugar film. It's a really great, enlightening, inspirational movie. Here's just a list of 20 reasons out of 146. And this book is like 20 years old. It's not a new book at all. I don't know. Why sugar can ruin your health. It's really going to suppress the immune system, number one, in today's news. It interferes with absorption of our minerals. It weakens the eyesight. It can cause hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, and then high blood, which can lead to insulin resistance, obesity, arthritis, cancers, osteoporosis, cholesterol. It increases cholesterol. A lot of times the triglycerides are elevated in the blood due to sugar intake. Fluid retention, migraines, depression, Alzheimer's, and limiting sugar saves lives in intensive care units. Long-term effects, we're all well aware of this. I don't think this is new information for anyone, but you might not connect sugar with asthma, with that chronic stomach upset, with heart disease, obesity, chronic yeast infections, urinary tract infections. These are caused by an overgrowth of candida in the gut that feed on sugar. And when we get an overgrowth of these bugs in the gut, they are saying, feed me sugar. So there is a physiological addiction to sugar. The average American is 3.5 pounds a week. And look at how we think of sometimes healthy foods like the Cliff Bar. equals 21 grams of sugar or 5 teaspoons full. Compare that to, that's more than a Dunkin' Donut. So, you know, sometimes we think the healthy foods, we're eating them because we're healthy, we've got a lot of hidden sugars. 16-ounce Starbucks Frappuccino, 44 grams of sugar. And a 16-ounce cup of Starbucks Grande coffee has the same caffeine as 10 cans of Coca-Cola or Pepsi. So lots of hidden sugar. And it's not just in sweets. Of course, it's in bread, yogurt, vegetables, tomato sauce. And watch that sugar film. So what about artificial sweeteners? I have one good friend who was a CEO of a company who was having these bizarre, rapid weight loss. I actually thought he had cancer. And he wasn't my client, he was a friend, but in conversations, and none of his doctors could figure out what was wrong with him. But he had like fibromyalgia, which is very rare in men. And all of these pains, trouble with vision, blood pressure, he had all of these symptoms and nobody could figure out what it was. Well, he was addicted to these popsicles that were full of aspartame. And aspartame is a serious artificial sweetener that the FDA should never have approved. 50 scientists for 10 years, for a decade, fought to keep that out of our food supply. And now we're putting aspartame in chocolate milk that they want to give to the kids at school. So artificial sweeteners are not any better. Modern day wheat is 3 to 4 times more addictive to cocaine, according to Dr. William Davis in Wheat Belly. This is another kind of oldie but goodie book on which explains the glycemic index. So gluten, we know, is a high glycemic index food. We also know that we have hybridized our wheat to be 50% gluten, where it used to be 4% gluten. So gluten is a glue-like substance. It's an industry term, meaning glue-like substance to gum up the intestines. And it causes intestinal permeability. It causes the villi to open up so that the undigested food can get in the bloodstream. And this is the root cause of all, a lot of inflammation and all autoimmune disease. And what's worse is we spray Roundup, glyphosate, on the wheat in the US, which also further damages the gut lining. So is it the gluten or is it the glyphosate? Is it both? Which is why we're recommending just cut out gluten for 21 days and see how you feel. But also be wary of the gluten-free alternatives, which can be very high glycemic index alternatives too. And of course, the artificial high fructose corn syrup. We subsidize corn. It's a cash crop in the US. It's ubiquitous and it's in a lot of foods. And high fructose corn syrup is super cheap to make and super addictive, hyper palatable. So if we can increase these, we're going to get rid of a lot of our health issues. Why avoid dairy? We're the only mammal that drinks another mammal's milk. And it is made to grow a baby calf to be 400 pounds. And we wonder why we have obesity here. It's mucus forming. It is a common cause of serious acne at all areas. But it has a molecular mimicry. If you have leaky gut and gluten, dairy is into the bloodstream, it looks very much like gluten. And any autoimmune disease, we should be off of gluten and dairy. But the most important thing that it's interesting to me is that we have adulterated it. We've taken a fat and a protein and homogenized it to make a molecule that's not known to our bodies. Is it fat or is it protein? It's no wonder if this molecule gets into our bloodstream that the immune system would become confused. Does that make sense? Homogenized milk. It used to be milk was the fat, the milk, and the cream on top. We have made one molecule. We've made something that is not, is against nature. And then pasteurization kills the enzymes that we need to digest it. So it's no wonder that a lot of people are lactose intolerant, which is different from a food sensitivity, by the way. Any questions so far? I'm throwing a lot of information out there. Okay, feel free to interrupt. And I'm not monitoring the chat. Let me do that. Anybody wants to chat a question too, who don't want to speak up. So coffee is the same as gluten, as dairy, in that it's molecular mimicry that the immune system, it can look at the proteins in coffee look very much like the protein in like gluten and dairy. And so if you do a food sensitivity test and are looking for IgG reactions, which is something I offer with my private clients, it will just say on the report that coffee can look very much like gluten in dairy and cross response. So you could be gluten-free, dairy-free, and still have the inflammatory reaction. It also stimulates already overstressed adrenal glands and keeps us in that fight or flight. We're self-medicating instead of addressing the root cause. And almost 92% of coffee tested has mold, and mold has mycotoxins, which are extremely, for 25% of the population who have a hard time detoxifying mold and mycotoxins, can have a devastating effect. Mold is can be a carcinogen, it can create cancer, and is a big issue. So, and if you've got a Keurig and you're putting your plastic coffee in that Keurig and you're pressing hot water and fat through plastic, you're number one, you're getting phthalates, endocrine disrupting chemicals that make you hold on to fat and interfere with your hormones. Plus, those things the coffee pots can grow mold too. We should be cleaning out coffee pots. What I love, if you're going to, I like having an electric teapot or just making hot water on a stove and a French press that you can wash and clean. But 21 days, consider going coffee free and see if that isn't really have a tremendous effect. And know that the one thing that you least want to give up, the one thing that seems like the biggest challenge, is probably the one thing that's going to give you the biggest reward. And just use that when you make your decisions. And the last one I'm going to talk about is alcohol. Alcohol is toxic to the liver. We don't have to be alcoholic. We don't have to have a genetic predisposition to how we detoxify alcohol. All alcohol has to go through the liver, and the liver will prioritize alcohol over sugar and anything else because it is so toxic. It's a toxic chemical. Now, it's highly addictive. We wouldn't dream of drinking gasoline, and yet glorify drinking as a rite of passage in a way to relax and de-stress, etc. We have, our society has made alcohol so attractive and we have an emotional and a mental and a attraction to it, that we need that alcohol, we think, to relax or to be social or to de-stress. And these are myths that can be keeping us stuck. It increases insulin resistance, depression, mood swings, anxiety, insomnia. Fastest way to interfere with sleep is to have alcohol, which will increase GABA at first to make you relax at night. And then 3 o'clock in the morning, you're wide awake because GABA is turned into glutamate, which is excitatory. So relaxing and excitatory. It has empty calories. It has no nutrition. And it causes a lot of vitamin deficiencies, which interfere with the brain, cognitive deficits, particularly like thiamine, B1, or B vitamins. It damages the hypothalamus in the brain, the frontal lobe that is responsible for problem solving. So we notice that people who drink habitually or a lot over a long period of time may have trouble with problem solving, with their personality changes, their emotions change. It shrinks the brain, causes deficits or holes in the memory. It affects our neurotransmitters, the feel-good hormones, serotonin for focus that are made in the gut, dopamine for focus and feeling good too, melatonin for sleep. It interferes with all of our neurotransmitters and our hormones. It decreases libido. Sometimes we think we need a little alcohol to stimulate our libido, but the reality is it actually decreases your libido, and it decreases all your sex hormones that are responsible for strong libido. It's a common contributor to polycystic ovarian syndrome that a lot of women have, hormone-mediated cancers like breast, ovarian, and prostate cancers. It can trigger bipolar disorder. It can trigger mental emotional issues. And of course, it can be destructive to families and relationships because and painful to watch. So because of our busy, stressful lives, what do we commonly do? We're medicating ourselves, self-medicating with coffee, sugar, alcohol, not enough sleep. We skip meals and we just power through the day, making the problem worse. Oh, I do want to share this one book, and I'll write this up, The Naked Mind. This Naked Mind, Control Alcohol, Find Freedom, Discover Happiness, and Change Your Life by Annie Grace. It's just a book on facts about alcohol to make you really think about it in a very non-judgmental way. And it's a great precursor to her second book, which is the 30-Day Alcohol Experiment. So if you find that alcohol is one of the things that you are least wanting to give up, I would buy this on tape, listen to it, and see if that's not helpful to get started. So our stress hormones affect our sex hormones, which affect our metabolic hormones. So we're going to talk about lowering inflammation and chronic disease a lot. We're going to talk more about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. This is the first slide I give every one of my clients. Our nervous system is it's similar to a light switch. We're either on or off. We're either stuck in fight or flight, the sympathetic over here, or rest and repair, the parasympathetic. And the body doesn't know the difference in, I'm worried about the pandemic. I'm worried about my family. I'm worried about my children. I'm lonely. I'm whatever thoughts or stressors we have here, doesn't know the difference in that. And I'm being chased from a saber-toothed tiger, or I have food sensitivities, or I have stuff in my gut that's interfering with my well-being. There are many things that stimulate this fight or flight, the sympathetic overdrive. And we're stuck here. We're not going to meet any of our goals. We're not going to lose our weight. We're not going to be able to sleep well. So we're going to talk a lot about how to flip from this switch to this switch. And we can tell when we're in sympathetic overload because our pupils dilate and we have to have sunglasses to go outside. We weren't born with sunglasses, but that's a sign of being stuck in fight or flight. We stop secreting saliva, so we can't digest the breakfast. We stop secreting amylase, which breaks down our carbohydrates. Our bronchioles dilate, so we are more susceptible to viruses and bacteria and colds. Our heartbeat speeds up, so we might more susceptible to hypertension. We secrete adrenaline, which turns into long-term cortisol from our adrenals right here, which tells the stomach to stop secreting stomach acid. We don't have time to digest our food if we're running from the saber-toothed tiger. Then we're more susceptible to constipation or to gas and bloating because you need stomach acid to let the pancreas secrete pancreatic enzymes to digest the protein and the fats and everything else. So then we get decreased mobility, we get the toxins that should be coming out, get back in the bloodstream and recirculate and create more cortisol. We might get urinary tract infections. We might get varicose veins. It goes on and on. Rather than parasympathetic, which is rest and repair, rest and digest, or mate and ovulate. We can't do any of those things if we're stuck over here. And stress, there are many stressors that can damage our gut lining. So stress, infection, birth control pills, aspirin, Motrin, too much alcohol, too much sugar. An overgrowth of bad bacteria causes this break in the barrier between our stomach and our bloodstream. And when undigested foods get through here, that's when we get inflammation. So we have leaky gut, we're going to have leaky brain. This is precursors to leaky gut. And we're prone to anxiety, depression, insomnia, autoimmune disease, cancers, all of these things. So all of these things are things that we are going to start avoiding. And so what have I sent you? a journal. And so your task this week, hopefully, is to take time, prioritize yourself, write in the journal. First of all, you can write everything you eat for 3 days if you want, but write, what is your why? What's your motivation? How do you want to feel? How do you want to look? Create your vision. I gave you a tape measure, not because we're focused on weight loss. That's just a symptom of inflammation and disease. So if anything, I want you to measure your belly. If you have any adipose tissue here, you can measure your arms, but to take that tape measure and measure and write it down, because you might be surprised. Can I share, Denise, your story a couple of years ago? Last time I did a KickStart, losing 2 inches and not doing everything 100% correct. I'm giving you lots of recommendations. You don't have to do it all 100%. But to our best of knowledge. So we can't celebrate our success if we don't measure it. And then there is in the recipe book, I kind of dog-eared what I'd like you to read pages 3 to 11. Because what we have here is the choices you have and why. Healthy pantry basics, so things that you may want to have in your pantry to help kickstart the diet, and a produce list of why these different vegetables and what they do for the body and why they may be good to also include in your diet. In the workbook, we've given you a sample meal plan, and you can decide, take some time to plan. What is it you're going to eat for the next 7 days? And then how are you going to get it? Are you going to order online delivery? I've given you options. So I sent you a lot of emails. You should have had like 3 or 4 emails by now. Look back at them and read them if you haven't. I'm trying to do little bites and see the links. If Thrive Market can give you healthy options at a discount. Imperfect Foods, I got a little video of my box. I order that once a week. I rarely go shopping anymore. And with the pandemic, these are little tips that might help you. Some people, it can be overwhelming to think about, I'm going to eat 3 meals a day. I'm going to cook 3 meals a day. So it was my husband's suggestion that why don't I throw in a protein shake? And this is the kit, NutriClear, that I actually use and like. And it comes with a shake packet and really nice supplements. The supplements in there can help with liver and gallbladder to help get things moving, which is a really good introductory. And there's lots of different shakes and supplements, but this is a nice kit that they put a lot of high quality products, organic, into it. And it comes with I got the vanilla flavor. So instead of adding sugar or fruit to my smoothie, I just throw that in there. So that's a tip. Nobody has to do it. You can, if you want a smoothie in the morning, the green juice, there's plenty of options here in the cookbook that are quick and easy and delicious. And that's what my daughter and I use, the green energy soup. That's the other thing I wanted to point out. One recipe I really love to start for breakfast is page 16. This is the recipe for one of the programs we went to. And then there's also the green juice that we used, the juice feasting. So these are options. You may not have a good blender. Any blender works. You may not have a juicer for the juice. Trader Joe's has really great organic juice that's got 4 grams of sugar in it, and it's cheap. That's another option. Lots of options. So the first step that we're going to really work on this week is taking an honest personal assessment. What is it that your unique body needs? What is it that you want to commit to? And if you want accountability, what I really urge you to do is to write it down first for you and then share it on Facebook. This is the change I want to make. This is what I'm committing to doing. And let us all help you stay accountable on that. It's easy to tell ourselves we want to do something and then not do it, right? So to start, we're going to take an honest personal assessment. What is it we need? What do we need for the group? What do we need more help with? I need to know how to, plan, shop, and cook, or I need help with helping me sleep better. I need help with whatever we need, because we all we all need some kind of support. So here's what I said, starting measurements to measure with your tape measure. And then write down any symptoms you have. 0, almost never nausea, vomiting, or I occasionally have it, it would be 1. I occasionally have it and it's not severe, or I occasionally have it and it's severe, 2, or I frequently have it, but the effect is not severe, or I frequently have it and the effect is severe. So we can keep a real measurement of all of these that may be symptoms of toxicity. So this is not a full detox because a lot of people aren't ready to detox. This is a way of minimizing some of these symptoms of high toxicity. We detoxify every day by breathing and drinking and going to the bathroom and elimination. But we can kind of learn to be our own best doctor and self-diagnose with doing a before and an after. Yeah, Judy, you have a question? Oh, I thought I saw you raise your hand. Oh, you know what? Let me unmute you. You have to unmute yourself, it looks like.
I've made myself exercise my hand to get the stiffness out of it when I'm on Zoom.
Fantastic. And you're a lawyer, right? Are you still doing legal work? Must meet a lot of.
I was going to retire, but when the pandemic came, I kept doing it part-time to give myself something to do. But I do have a question about sugar. I'm not a sugar eater because I don't like granulated sugar. But what about if you like things like dates? I mean, it's sugar.
Yes.
It's sweet.
Yes.
Are those bad to have? I mean, not a whole lot, but maybe one here and there. And
Oh yeah, thank you so much for asking that question. Yeah, so dates have a lot of fiber, which slows down the glycemic index, which is the amount of sugar that hits the bloodstream that creates the liver to secrete insulin in response. So whole foods, dates, berries, fruit, instead of having apple juice, eat the whole apple. Instead of orange juice, eat the whole orange, or put the whole orange in the smoothie. Great question. A lot of in fact, with Dana and I in our journey, and I have the recipes here. My chocolate cake recipe at the last has dates in it to sweeten it. All my pie recipes, yeah.
And what about monk fruit and stevia?
Yeah, so those are good alternatives. They're not going to affect your blood sugar as well. And in fact, I think this has, the shake I'm using now has monk fruit and or stevia. The pros and cons, yes, this is a great kickstart place to start, is monk fruit and stevia. And even some of my recipes have a little honey in them, which is a higher glycemic index. We're talking about good, better, best. Some of us are moving from processed foods and a lot of sweetened sugar stuff to just a whole food. So if you're really having a hard time, depending on how fast you want to change, yes, I would say dates, monk fruit, stevia, and one of the lowest glycemic sugar substitutes is coconut nectar that you can find. It's kind of like a molasses. It's a little more expensive. The problem with stevia is sometimes it's hyperpalatable too, so it may not help the cravings as much. Start there and then wean yourself off until we no longer have these cravings.
Well, the reason I'm asking is I never ate any sugar at all, including dates, but being here all by myself during the pandemic, sometimes I want something just a little sweet. So I got some dates. And I also have dates. I put it in and I make the muesli. That's your recipe. And I eat that a fair amount. And sometimes I've made breads, that I make and then freeze them like quick breads. And sometimes I put a little bit of monk fruit in it instead of sugar. Before I didn't even use that stuff, but it hasn't made me feel any worse to do that.
then that's your answer right there. Yeah.
You know, sometimes I lost so much weight during the pandemic, I gained a little of it back, that a friend of mine who's also a nutritionist said, start making yourself treats. You need to eat.
Yeah, food should be decadent and delicious. I say that all the time, and it's a way of self-love, self-care, nourishment. So I'm not saying don't have any sweet. No, we need more sweet in our lives, especially now, right? We just have to upscale our sweets, make them a healthier one. So dates, fiber, iron, minerals. There's a lot of benefits for dates.
Okay, thanks. I don't want to take any more time.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
I do have a question.
Uh-huh.
What about the kind bars?
Hi, please.
Yeah, hey,
Yeah, that's a good, better, best.
good, better, best.
Kind are one of the better. I really don't recommend a lot of bars because they are,
Right.
It's hard to find a good bar, but yeah, the kind is a better choice.
But not a recommendation.
Yeah, you know, in a pinch, it's a good choice.
Okay.
Yeah, but let's and you know, anything that we find that we like have to have, it's a beginning of an addiction, right? It's good to switch things up, right? So instead of that kind bar or these organic gluten-free cookies that we come across, just be conscious of this and going, oh, where else can I add sweet in my life? What else can I do that because like I'm giving up chocolate. There's not a day that goes by when I don't have dark chocolate. And it can be a common sensitivity too for a while. So we're giving ourselves an opportunity to be a mirror to look at, and then just to develop that relationship. And how else can we fill this void that sugar temporarily gives us? You know, can we love and hug a pet? Can we get out, you know, hug somebody? Can we what else, where else can we bring sweetness in our lives? And often we're craving sweets because we may need more fat and protein. And that's the best way to curb those sweet cravings. Or we may be hungry. We may be dehydrated. When we're thirsty, we're going to crave sweets. It's just something, or we're bored, or we're anxious, or we're, you know, so if we can look at the underlying feeling and emotion. And sometimes we're busy and we're traveling and we need that kind bar to just like get us through the meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
In between the meals, you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Is there any room for anything in between those meals?
Oh yeah. So a common nutritional suggestion is to eat a lot of small meals. Well, they say that because, and I'm not an advocate of that. It's because people have a hard time with digestion. We got to clean up the digestion. So so that you can digest your meal. Ideally, you're eating enough healthy meal, fat and protein and everything that you need, that you're satiated for 3 or 4 hours and you're able to digest it and you give your body a break. It takes a lot of energy to be digesting food. If you're eating food all day long, you're spending up a lot of energy. And this is why people who do, and my next program, we do this first, and the next one may be talking about intermittent fasting and the benefits and the concerns about that. But sometimes we have more focus and energy when we're not eating all day, because the body's not using those resources. Sorry, I went down a little tangent there. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay. And so these are really just the to-dos to kind of finalize. Write down your why and share it on Facebook. Also share what you've decided you want to do, and so that we can help keep each other accountable. There's 2 pages in the workbook I think you might want to print. I gave you the hard copy. One is page 4, which is daily protocol, kind of as a reminder, as a kind of a goal. Get up, drink water. We're all dehydrated. Have a glass of water next to your bed at night to hydrate yourself. Document your goals and your gratitude for the day. Carve out that time for you in the morning. And then just reminding yourself. So it's nice to print this out. And then the other one is page 19 is the letter to self. My commitment. This is your letter to you. This is a love letter. This is a journey on self-love. Love yourself like your life depends on it. That's a great book. You can write it down because it does. Your life depends on it. And we have to prioritize ourselves and our life and our love. And we have to be our own best healthcare advocate. You know, my commitment, what is it you want to commit to for you and yourself? And you promise to love and appreciate yourself. Understand that my unexpressed emotions and thoughts affect my health. It's a reminder of the interrelatedness. Realizing that I deserve to be healthy. Accepting that I have the power to heal. This is a big myth. You don't need to go outside of yourself or to find, one of the doctors from Israel who I was working with this morning said, as doctors, she realizes that the patient has all of the answers within themselves. We're trained in healthcare to be the subject matter expert and to heal you. No, nobody heals you. Your body heals itself. So you have to find somebody or a group or a guide or somebody who you can connect with in order to allow yourself to maximize, minimize, and prioritize so you can heal yourself. It's not a magic bullet. There's not a magic supplement. There's not a magic, even though I recommend a lot of supplements, there's no magic supplement. There's no magic medicine that is going to heal you. So that's really important to get that in your psyche. I have the power to heal. I promise to move regularly, just do some yoga moves. We're going to talk about that. And I promise to accept myself and being grateful for me just as I am, because it's through our challenges and how we are today that we learn. And if we don't listen to our body, if we don't pay attention to these messages, we're going to have more disease. It's if we love our body is going to love us back. And there's no mind-body connection. It's one. The mind, the body, the spirit is one. And nourishing myself with healthy food and drink. So that's the recipes, and the food is one. One of my favorite books is Radical Remissions. Dr. Kelly Turner interviewed 10,000 people who had spontaneous healing remissions. And what she did was find the commonalities. She says, if we want to win the war on cancer, we have to study those who have already won. And diet is one. Diet is 1 out of 9. What are the 9 commonalities that everybody does? With stage 4 cancer, where they've been given a death sentence from their conventional medicine, what can you do to turn that around? And so we can take that knowledge, and we're not there, we are all different areas of our health, but we can use that for inspiration and saying, and so we've tried to put this in a 21-day program that addresses kind of the mind, the body, and the spirit. And what is it that we can do to focus on where we want to go, and what are the things that we want to work on this week to help us get there. So do an honest assessment. Only 2 times to sit on the scale. 1 now and 1 in 21 days. Forget the scale, throw it out, put it in the garage or somewhere else. And then, plan. Those who fail to plan to fail. So will you cook 1 to 3 meals a day? Will you have it delivered? Where will you source it? And next week, we're going to talk more about in detail, the gut and the 5 R's. And what we're doing is the number 1, the 5 R's of functional medicine. We're removing inflammatory foods is what I'm suggesting you start to work on. And we'll be addressing all of this. We all have best intentions, as we talked about, but this is reality. We're going to hit rough spots. We're going to have challenges. So pick an accountability buddy here, either in this group on Facebook. Maybe there's one person you want to talk to every day for 5 minutes and say, what am I doing that's working, that's not working, to keep us on track. And we all will get off track. That's just human nature. And this is practice, not perfection. And the amygdala brain, creates automatic negative thoughts. It's going to beat ourselves up. I didn't do it perfectly. None of us do it perfectly. I don't do it perfectly. I need this group in health because, you know, there are days I just want to sit and veg and eat junk food and do nothing either. You know, we're all human. So power of community, and it doesn't happen in isolation. So I'd love your feedback. How do I stop share? Trying to stop share. There we go. I'd love your feedback. Is this helpful? Is this not? What questions do you have? Post them in Facebook. Send them to me ahead of time. What is it you want to address over the next 21 days? What am I missing? Is this too much information? Is this not enough information? This is the first, I feel like whether we've worked together for a while or not, or you're new to working with me, I'm going to try and share with you a lot of the foundational stuff that no matter where you are in the journey, I think is important.
I have another quick question. Do you know any company that delivers healthy juice?
Yeah, Tasty Six.
I thought they didn't deliver juice anymore. I looked online.
He has changed. Yeah. We'll take that as a action item for me to look at for you.
And Puree has juice, but they're all green juice.
Mhm.
Is not, you might want to talk to them, is like really horrible. And I love green juice. And their juice that isn't all the green is really sweet.
Mhm.
So it would be great if they would make an in between.
Yes, I agree with that. And that's why we have to be careful with juice. A lot of the juice companies are so high in sugar. They're not really a good.
And I do have a juicer, but I tend to be very lazy about making juice.
Yeah, yeah. And as I said, the Trader Joe's in Reston, we need to talk to the manager. I can't find that green juice here, but you can also ask the manager. Mom's Organic Market has some great green juices too. Whole Foods, you can find green juice. Maybe you can order it online from Whole Foods. You're probably going to pay. You know, that now that they bought Amazon, they're doing home delivery.
Yeah, I get food delivered from Imperfect Foods and Whole Foods. I haven't gone to stores because I figure the virus is about toxic load. So I would rather go out on distance walks and go to a store. So that's what I've chosen to do.
Okay.
I try to go on a walk every day, sometimes with people at a distance and sometimes alone, just to feel like I'm not cooped up.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, the parks were crazy this weekend. Cars lined up. Margot and I went for a walk in Great Falls Park this weekend.
It's better during the week.
Yeah.
And by the way, I had a tenant in my basement and he did get COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was scary. That was right at the beginning.
We are all going to get exposed to COVID. The herd immunity, one way or another, we're all going to get it. So how do we minimize the effects? And some of us may have had it already and just didn't get.
Don't even know it.
Yeah, yeah. But everybody, it's ubiquitous. That's what viruses do. They go through populations, and we will survive. And but it's my goal is to help us. I've got a lot of handouts on that too, if that's what you're interested in, and what to do for prevention. And
yeah, and I have some that I've gotten. If we could share back and forth, that would be great.
Yeah, yeah. Great. There's more coming out every day. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, feel free to post on the Facebook page. Okay, so does everybody have any questions technology-wise, Facebook? Or everybody's got their Zoom calls, same link now for every week to get on. And every day you'll get an email from me with something. Okay. My little gift. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Lisa.
Look forward to seeing you on Facebook and next week.
Sounds good. Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Thanks
ladies.
a
Love
million.
you.
Bye.
Thanks as always. It was a terrific presentation.
Oh,
Mhm.
thank you so much, Laura.
Yeah, great
Fantastic.
presentation. Thank
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, sweetie. You did great.
Oh, thanks.
You're an inspiration to us all, Lise.
Thank you. Thank you. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.